Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So today we're going to be talking about the very despicable H3H3 situation, which of course involves Ethan Klein and his family. Now on the internet and amongst content creation, there's always going to be some beef and drama and controversy, but you always hope there's a certain extreme that is never reached. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened in this situation, where people who dislike Ethan Klein and his content and his opinions on things decided to make a call to CPS. So now his family is being investigated as a result of those mandated responses. This is a very gross situation. I don't really care for Ethan Klein or his podcast or anything like that, but I do care about people weaponizing something like CPS, which is already very understaffed and overworked, to basically make someone on the internet you don't like suffer. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're putting a family in a terrible situation, and people are just shameless about this. And we're even having some large content creators legitimizing some of the actions of these people who claim to be responsible for making this call. Now, what happened that initiated all of this? Well, recently, Ethan Klein on one of his podcasts talked about how I believe his 3-year-old child contracted Giardia, which over 1 million Americans each year contracts. Okay, it's not some rare disease like people will try to claim, and he believes this happened because his recent rescue dog was sick and made an accident somewhere in their home, and their 3-year-old who's crawling around on the ground must have come into contact with it before anyone else discovered it and then contracted this disease. Obviously, it's very unfortunate and gross, but according to every expert I can find here, not something that warrants a CPS report to be made. And here is an actual pediatric nurse talking about this sort of thing as basically something that's very common.
And guess what we all understand? Children walk on the ground, put their hands on the ground, put their hands on toilet seats, put their hands on side rails, and then stick it in their mouth because they're 2 years old.
So basically, yes, kids do dumb things and get sick as a result sometimes. But people took this as an opportunity to make these calls to CPS with the goal in mind of having his children taken away. So that's how extreme this is getting. And of course, here are some of the lovely individuals who are supporting this sort of action from the H3H3 snark subreddit, where there's a whole lot of unhinged behavior there. But this is one of the people from that community.
Take care of your fucking kids. Why don't you tell your wife, too? She should be taking care of your kids, too. Both of y'all. Instead, you're posted up complaining about how you got CPS called, and they're investigating you, homie, and you're posting on Instagram? Ah. Oh, I hope his kids get taken away from him. Oh, I hope so.
The normal people, right? The normal people. So that's what we're dealing with here. These people are not only supporting these unhinged actions, they're also being legitimized by a lot of content creators. And that's kind of where we're going to go with this in just a second. But as you might guess, Ethan Klein is filing a police report about this, claiming it's a fraudulent CPS call. And unfortunately for a lot of people who didn't realize this at the time, that is something that carries both civil and criminal penalties if you make a fraudulent CPS call. And if it is determined to be fraudulent, they can give over the information of who made that call. So whoever did this, I hope they're ready, because you messed with this dude's family and he is clearly going to go at any length to make sure justice is served here. So yeah, I hope it was all worth it for the person who was responsible for this. But one of the points Ethan has made in his most recent video talking about all of this is that there's a lot of parties at fault here. You have Reddit and Twitch, and of course, how they cater to and allow a lot of extremism and crazy stuff to exist, including illegal things on their platform, and seemingly never want to do anything about it. I mean, we literally just talked about this with Reddit yesterday. And then he blames the specific subreddit, the snark one. And he also blames some content creators for basically legitimizing some of these crazy people and these crazy portions of the internet by constantly reacting to them or sharing information that they have posted and things like that. And he names several people, including Hasan Piker, as well as Denims TV. And we're going to quickly go over Hasan here because he outright denies having any role in this. But unfortunately for him, as he always does, he is trusting his chat to be telling the truth on everything. And someone in his chat came in and said that Ethan is directly blaming him for the CPS call, which is not what he said. And this was Hasan's reaction to that.
He said that? Bro, is there a thing that happens? Is there a thing that happens on the planet to Ethan that I am not responsible for?
And you can see some people saying, stop lying.
There is no world in which I would ever fucking entertain that, okay? That is a psychotic thing. Especially because, let me tell you why I would never do that. Because I'm not Ethan fucking Klein.
So that's his interesting logic on the situation based on what he is believing from his chat. So he's saying, I would never do anything like this because I'm not Ethan Klein, which is some insane logic. It's basically implying that Ethan Klein is the type to call CPS on people. Like, have you seen him do that before or something? Are we missing some information on that? But also later on, about 30 seconds later, he would say the people who did this were wrong as well. But you can notice here the prioritization, right? Immediately condemning Ethan Klein in this situation for having a fraudulent CPS call on him before he condemns the people who did it. That's very strange, but not surprising whatsoever. But the other person mentioned, who we're going to focus on pretty much for the rest of this video, is Denims TV. They have played a pretty big role in stoking the flames of this whole situation on multiple streams. And this is someone who's we've come across a couple times on this channel. She's infamous for several controversies involving things like this, which I got a small little cameo in here. Basically, there's a situation where I made a video talking about Mark Kern getting a $20,000 bounty on his head for his opinion on Stellar Blade. And then Asmongold reacted to that, and then Denims TV reacted to that, and she said, I want to up the bounty to $30,000. A very Twitch-like thing to say. And then she had this lovely tweet to give you another idea of who she is and what she's about. She swiftly deleted this one from last year, where she said, streaming is harder than working a 12-hour shift and having a 4-hour commute to go along with it. She also was a member of this Twitch panel that is very infamous. You can see her right here. She was a part of this Twitch-sponsored and Capcom, Chevron, and Samsung-sponsored Twitch panel where they ranked people based on how Arab they are. So the more Arab they were, the better they are, and the more Jewish they were, the worse they were. And of course, you can see the first person on the bottom here is Ethan Klein. And of course, her obsession with Ethan Klein seems to be pretty well documented. So this is a screenshot from a fan page called Denims Daily. And you can see right here, all of these thumbnails and videos are from only the last month. And every single one you're looking at is about Ethan Klein. Every single one. Literally, hours upon hours upon hours talking about this guy. Now, what's interesting is several videos have come out over the past 24 hours talking about the situation and mentioning this Denims Daily fan page, and they just nuked everything this morning. Just a few hours ago, they nuked the entire channel except for one video, which, by the way, thanks to this person, makes her look even worse. And you can see they left a few replies to people asking what's going on. And basically, they claim there's an organized attack by people like Asmongold and other content creators who made videos on the subject. Like, they literally coordinated this together to try to attack Denims and this fan page. And they go on to say a bunch of stuff. I mean, this is exactly the kind of person you would expect to run a fan page for Denims TV. They even say things like you should touch grass and become better people, while of course supporting this individual. It's very rich. And they say a bunch of other stuff. They're basically a giant white knight, okay? And that's, well, expected at this point. However, Denims TV, after getting this flack over the past couple of days for seemingly stoking the flames, everything going on, has outright denied everything. Okay, she is trying to say that she never suggested it. And of course, again, that's kind of a misrepresentation of what people are criticizing for. But let's listen to this real quick.
Shit in their house. And then Denims hosts this and see what she says. And then now we wonder why people are calling Child Protective Services.
But they called it before I even did this stream.
As pointed out here, that's an outright 100% verifiable lie. So the stream that's being referred to there, in the clip that's being referred to, was actually posted 2 days before the CPS call was made. And we know this because she has gotten rid of the VOD from that stream, which was on March 1st, and then 2 days later, the CPS call was made. She did this on her own volition. She privated this or unlisted it, whatever. She got rid of it because clearly she thought there was something that would make her look bad. And you can see also, just again, to really drive this home, every single stream you're looking at here, except for this one, which maybe she talked about him at some point, I don't know, but all of these other ones are about Ethan Klein. And you can see the duration, 4 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours, all this time talking primarily about this guy. Like, this is absolutely deranged behavior. But let's continue on with that clip. And this is a clip from that now unlisted, deleted VOD, whatever the current status is. And she's reacting to this individual, Bad Empanada, who I listened to some of his video that he posted. Again, his channel is like the same thing. It's all Ethan Klein. And in this, you'll be hard-pressed to go 5 seconds without this guy either outright lying or making assumptions about the private life of Ethan Klein and his family, information he would never know. But let's listen.
His dogs shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons.
What does that have to do with anything? You don't know anything about that lawsuit.
So I would assume he doesn't actually have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps
how do you know he doesn't have a housekeeper?
So now the house is just like covered in dog shit, and he has kids, and his kids like crawl into the dog shit, and God forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it or if it's just contact with it with their hands or something, but they contracted a parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called Giardia from the dog shit that is all over his house.
Dude, how is it that like maybe once a week I look into what Ethan Klein's been up to, and every time I manage to find more and more terrible shit. This is where Ethan tells a story about his family getting Giardia.
We already have mold Mondays. Now we have shit Saturdays.
Also, this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean, much like many other illnesses, it's very, very, very dangerous.
I mean, look at this feigned outrage here. Like, she's acting like she actually cares about the safety of those kids. It's so phony. And also, if you've been noticing, this is the chat. And you can see the amount of bold claims and also people encouraging CPS to be called.
When infants get the same sicknesses that adults get. There are lots of things that you can get as an adult. You're totally fine. You'll be A-okay. No problem. A child, a small infant that has no immune system, shouldn't be catching anything.
No wonder his house is covered in dog shit, and his neglected children raised by nannies have contracted parasites previously unknown to science from the feces.
So this guy, he just said that he neglects his kids. I mean, that's just straight up slander. This guy is saying he neglects his kids because he has nannies, which is correlation not found. And then he says this disease, Giardia, was unknown to human beings until Ethan Klein. Unknown, despite over 1 million cases per year just in the United States. Again, this is a certifiably made-up claim that with a simple Google search could be disproven, but these people believe it because they want to.
I wonder why he skipped over all of this, because everything that he said, everything that I said in this story, which, by the way, was apparently compiled by his crew.
No wonder this motherfucker is always sick. Yeah. It all makes sense now. It makes sense why he doesn't care about Palestinian children when he is neglecting his own. How is this happening?
What an outrageous connection. Again, I don't think I have to really express why. But the point people are making, people like Ethan Klein, a lot of people criticizing Denims, is that they are legitimizing all of these claims and these subreddits and these people they're reacting to. And you can see the chat. I mean, is it really that much of a shock that potentially someone could go out there and act on this? Because this is what it looks like. Dozens of users saying over and over again, call CPS, that he's abusing his kids and all these things, and that CPS has to be called, and that this is neglect and all of these things. But anyways, she would continue on to attack Hila Klein, who obviously is Ethan Klein's wife, and she tries to say that her reaction to this, having CPS called on you and your children, was just her trying to farm for sympathy on the internet.
I think it's embarrassing for Hila here to be like, this is so traumatic for the kids. You're trying to traumatize the children. It's like, dog, you literally, the vast majority of people are, like, are not remembering anything that happened to them at 3.
So, as you can see, Denims wears many hats. This time, she is a child psychologist. And she knows and claims that apparently children as young as 3, they just don't have memories. They just don't remember anything, which is an insane thing to say. And also, it's this crazy justification for the CPS call. Basically saying, well, it doesn't really matter even if it's fraudulent because these kids aren't going to remember it anyways, which again is an outrageous lie. These people have to outright lie in order to try to twist everything into their own narrative.
It's just sympathy, right? It's just, she's just pulling like the IDF classic card of like, please, my life is so difficult. Please, everyone that is against us needs fucking awful experiences because we're the ones dealing with the real awful experiences.
So again, another insane line of logic right there. If you didn't know, Hila was in the IDF, which is not surprising because she was born in Israel. And when you turn 18, whether you're a man or a woman, you have to join the IDF. And now she's using that against her to basically say that she's trying to throw this like classic card of theirs where they're trying to generate sympathy while being monstrous, awful people. And in this case too, we're talking about the children. Are the children trying to make you feel bad? Again, trying to discredit everything that she's saying. And also, as she'll bring up over and over again, she tries to make it sound like she's some violent, awful, terrible person who's indifferent to human life. And that's just like how people constantly call people Nazis and things like that because they want to dehumanize you. They want to make it so anything that happens to you is justified because you're this terrible boogeyman that they've portrayed you to be.
Hila did worse to Palestinian kids in the IDF. I mean, I'm sure she's thought about doing terrible things to people when she was in the IDF. I can't comment on what she has or hasn't done. She seemed really excited to go on that raid. And
yeah, that's pretty interesting. She says she can't really comment on what she did during her military service, but she seems like she's very excited about going after these kids, these Palestinian kids. But you know what? She does actually come out and say exactly what Hila is thinking in a different clip, as people have pointed out.
Just to like bring her back to reality for a second.
I mean,
if you opened the
guys, the IDF member is bringing us back to reality. Okay? The IDF member is bravely taking a break from killing unarmed children to bring us back to reality. Sorry. Terror babies. Terror babies. Terror babies. Sorry.
Destiny subreddit, it does not.
So there she is, just straight up saying that she wants to game end babies, that she's taking a break from game ending babies. Yep, totally sane thing to say. I mean, this is just straight up defamation at this point. Like, I don't understand how anyone would tolerate this stuff. It's complete outrageous claims that, again, are trying to dehumanize her as some awful, disgusting person to distract you from the fact that people made a false call to CPS just to spite someone they don't like on the internet. That's what she's trying to distract you from because she wants to relish in this. She enjoys this result, clearly, and is doing everything in her power to justify it, and it's just absolutely disgusting. Again, don't get lost in the sauce here. We're talking about people who are spending multiple streams trying to justify this behavior, a waste of resources, because we didn't really talk about that too much. CPS is already a historically understaffed, overworked field, okay? And you are wasting resources that could be used to protect children who are actually in danger, but instead we're wasting it on this nonsense, and we have people like this doing everything they can to justify it. It's disgusting. Let's hear from that pediatric nurse that we listened to just a few minutes ago.
How dare you? If you are not an actual pediatric healthcare provider, how dare you come onto my page and say you just have to feel if the vibe is off or not. I see kids who go through things you couldn't even dream up in a nightmare. I see real, true, evil vile, horrific shit. If I heard the story that Ethan told, I would go, yep, checks out, that's a 2-year-old.
Yeah, these people are still doubling down and thinking this is rational and justified behavior by saying, well, I think the vibe's off a little bit, so calling CPS is justified. That's how crazy this is. And honestly, things are getting even worse. In his reaction video to all of this that he posted a few days ago, Ethan would go into a further detail where apparently people from the one subreddit are now trying to 5150 him, which means put him into a mental hospital against his will by making concerned calls about his mental state.
Not only have they called CPS on us, now they're starting to try to call in a 5150 to get me committed. It's really gone on too far, and at this point, I'm ready to take no prisoners, take the gloves off, and call out everybody who needs to be called out. The thing is, once you target my children, then a line's been crossed that cannot be walked back. Once my kids are involved, when people are targeting my children, harassing my children, there's no length that I won't go to take care of this. And I think that's something that every parent can relate to. All these people, incidentally, who are promoting this type of insanity are, in fact, childless and will likely remain that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's not too surprising to say right there. But that's his response, and he's saying he's going to take every action possible to remedy this and to hold these people accountable who are doing this. And good for him. I mean, I'm glad that he's taking that route to a very unfortunate set of circumstances here. Like I said, I'm not someone who wants to go to bat for Ethan Klein. I just think the people who are doing this stuff are disgusting. And also the content creators trying to gloss over this or somehow justify it are also disgusting. And I think that's worth talking about today. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.